Hey, and welcome to my top 10 most anticipated games coming out at Essen 2018. The biggest board game convention in the world is happening at the end of this month in Essen, Germany, and there are over 1,000 different games getting released at Essen this year. It's absolutely insane. I went last year. It's massive. It was super overwhelming. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to go this year, but I have prepared a list of my top 10 most anticipated games that are getting released there. There aren't any expansions on this list, and there aren't any games that are only being demoed on this list. All of these should theoretically be for sale, assuming shipments and everything work out correctly. I'm only going to talk briefly about each of these games, so if you want more information on any of them, you can. There's a link in the description below that has a geek list that has everything listed, so you can go on Board Game Geek, and you can get all the information you're interested in. All right, let's get right into it. Number 10 is The River, coming out from Days of Wonder. This is a tile placement, worker placement game where you're trying to build the best pioneer settlement along a river. The thing that makes me really excited about this is it's Days of Wonder. Days of Wonder is pretty renowned for releasing very, very good family weight games. They release one game a year. Things like Ticket to Ride and Small World, all that sort of stuff. So whenever Days of Wonder puts out a game, it's always very much on my radar because they have a pretty good hit-to-miss ratio in terms of like really, really, really good games. So excited about this one. Number 9 is Blue Lagoon, coming out from Blue Orange Games. This is a family weight title designed by Rainer Knizia, who's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, game designer of all time, and he's had a bit of a resurgence over the last couple of years, which is cool to see. In this game, you are settlers, and you're spreading out over islands in an archipelago. It's coming out from Blue Orange Games. Blue Orange does a really, really good job. They're one of the best kind of like family weight companies out there, so definitely excited to see him work with them. Number 8 is Passing Through Petra from Renegade Game Studios, designed by Alex Cavern. In this game, there are merchant caravans passing through Petra, which is a famous canyon that caravans would go through and trade and all the merchants and stuff like that. And the really interesting thing about this is the merchants are represented by tiles for different merchants, and you actually push the caravan. So you're pushing these tiles through Petra, and it's got these like 3D canyon walls that they go between. So that's really cool. It's like trading and set collection and all that kind of stuff. I'm a huge fan of Alex Cavern's designs. I think he's one of the biggest up-and-coming designers in the past couple years, and Renegade Game Studios puts out great games. Number 7 is Reichholt by Renegade Game Studios. This is designed by Uwe Rosenberg. Uwe Rosenberg is one of the greatest game designers. I'm a huge, huge fan of his games. And get this is going to be radically different for him. It's going to be a farming worker placement game. I know. So, obviously, pretty familiar territory for Uwe Rosenberg. But in this one, you're Icelandic farmers, and you're using geothermal energy to grow crops for tourist season. I love Uwe Rosenberg. I love worker placement. I love farming games. This seems like a no-brainer for me. Number 6 is Foreign Trajanum from Stronghold Games, designed by Stefan Feld. Another one of the greatest designers of all time. Another one of my absolute favorite designers. In this, you are leaders of Rome trying to build up your own empires while also contributing to the Emperor's empire. Stefan Feld has been a little bit rockier for me over the past, I don't know, I guess his career. But when he makes a game I like, I absolutely love it. So I'm always super excited to try out his new games. Always super excited to see what he's doing. This one seems like one of his heavier ones, which, again, when those work for me, I absolutely love them, but sometimes they're a little bit too brain-burny crunchy for me, but we'll see if this hits that sweet spot for me. Number 5 is Arraiyo. This is from Mibo Games, designed by the design duo of Nuno Bizarro Sentiero and Paulo Soledad. They designed Nippon and Madeira. They're absolutely wonderful designers. And this seems like a lighter game, which is I'm really excited to see them do a slightly lighter fare. Arraial is a Portuguese summer celebration, and in this game you're trying to attract visitors to your neighborhood by throwing the best party, basically. It looks really fun. It looks light in a nice way, so I'm definitely excited about this one. Number 4 is Coimbra from Pegasus Spiel. This is co-designed by Flaminia Brazzini and Virginio Gili. They worked together on Lorenzo El Magnifico, and Gili did Grand Austria Hotel. And this is a dice drafting game where you are vying for favor with Coimbra's most influential citizens. I'm really excited. I love dice drafting and dice placement in games. I wasn't as huge a fan of Grand Austria Hotel as a lot of people were, but I'm definitely excited to see these designers kind of work together on a dice drafting game. So yeah, the artwork is great. The visual styling looks really good. Pegasus Spiel puts out great games, so super excited about this one. Number 3 is Teotihuacan, City of the Gods from NSKN Games. This is a worker placement game where you're going to be upgrading your workers as you go. That seems interesting. You're trying to build fame in the ancient city of Teotihuacan. It's designed by Daniele Tascini, who designed Tzolk'in, or helped design Tzolk'in and design Marco Polo, and David Turksey, who designed Anachrony. So that's an interesting design pairing that I wouldn't expect. They're from different places. They live different places in the world. So very excited about that. Tzolk'in is one of my all-time favorite games. It's one of the weirdest and kind of crunchiest worker placement games out there, so I'm excited to see Tascini kind of revisit the whole like upgrading worker thing in a new way. The artwork looks great. I mean, this just looks like a home run. Number 2 is Rebel Knox from Aporta Games. So Aporta Games kind of came out of nowhere for me 2 years ago when Avenue and Capital Lux came out. Neither was on my radar at all. I loved both of them. And then last year, they released Santa Maria. Again, absolutely loved it. Wasn't on my radar at all. So now all of their games are on my radar because I absolutely love all those games. This is a trick-taking game set in the world of Capital Lux, where you're trying to like gain rule over certain locations and political influence and stuff like that, very much like Capital Lux. But there are the teams that you're on, that you're working with, you don't necessarily know who's on that team, and the ways that you win tricks can change with the game. So it sounds a lot like kind of Capital Lux is this kind of like very strategic, ever-moving goalpost that you're trying to adapt to. In case you can tell, Capital Lux is one of my favorite like small box card games. This keeps Kwanchai Moria, his amazing artwork that he did for Capital Lux. Rebel Knox has that same style from him, which is very exciting to see. Aporta Games, really, they should be on your radar. They don't get distribution in the US as easily, as quickly as a lot of other companies, but you should absolutely keep an eye out for everything they're doing. And my number 1 is Gingerbread House from Lookout Games, designed by Phil Walker Harding. In this game, you are building a gingerbread house in a fairy tale world, and you're building like a 3D structure by stacking tiles on top of each other. Phil Walker Harding is probably my favorite designer these days. He does lightweight games that have strategic depth, highly replayable, but they're super simple to teach, really easy to understand rules. I'm jealous of every design he ever puts out. I also love tile stacking in games, which has kind of been a new hot trend of the last year or two. And I'm excited to see what he does with tile stacking in games, because I like tile stacking, and I like Phil Walker Harding a lot. So, yeah, he has yet to make a game that I don't at least like. Like, every single game of his I've played, I am always happy to play, and he has a couple of my absolute all-time favorite games that I play all the time. So, yeah, super excited to see his new game, super excited that it's tile stacking. Yeah. All right, that's my list. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hopefully this was helpful to you. Hopefully you saw something you hadn't heard of before or got a little bit more information on something you were curious about. I do weekly board game news videos, so if you are interested in kind of seeing what's going on in the world of board games in a quick, like 5-minute long video where I just hit kind of the top topics every week, subscribe to this channel to keep up with that. Also, I have a Patreon that I run that helps support this channel. If you appreciate what I do and want to show that appreciation with cash money, that whole cold, hard cheese that we all love so dearly, there's a link in the description below. Feel free to click that and throw some money my way. Also, follow me on social media. I'm at Chris Bryan Games on Instagram and Twitter to see what I'm up to, as well as kind of keep up with what's going on in the board game world and keep up with these videos. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week.